Google's AI is taking more control than ever, changing match types, automating bids, and taking more control away from you as an advertiser. Now, if you don't learn how to work with it, you're going to be working against it, which means those that are leveraging it, your competitors, are going to be at an advantage. And I can tell you now with confidence, if you're still running last year's strategy, then you're already behind. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's changed, everything that's working right now, and the things that you need to do to structure your search ad campaigns for success in 2025. So let's get into it. First of all, who am I to be sharing this with you? Well, my name is Theo Clarke, and over the past 2 years, I've generated over 20 million in sales for e-commerce businesses. And I can assure you that the things I'm going to recommend you in this video are things that I'm actively doing right now, either in my own e-commerce businesses or on behalf of my mentorship students and agency clients. And trust me when I tell you that these methods work. Here's an example where I recently helped one of my mentorship students grow from zero to €500,000 in sales with a brand new dropshipping store in just 4 months. And the best part is we did so only by using search text ads. And in this video, I'm going to break down the exact ad strategy that I used to help Sasha generate these results in just 4 months. You'll learn the best campaign structure for profitable scaling, how to optimize your bidding strategy, and how to maximize your ROAS using strategies that are working right now. Most e-commerce businesses fail when it comes to Google Ads. The game is evolving fast, and if you do not keep up with your competitors, you're going to get left behind. I see this all the time when I'm approached by e-commerce business owners or brands that want to work with me at my agency or work with me on a one-to-one basis through my mentorship. And I see the same things over and over again. Now, first and foremost, we should all be aware by now that advertising costs are going up. There's no doubt about it, okay? More and more businesses are now transitioning online. There are more e-commerce businesses being born than ever, and people are scaling very, very quickly, which means for those of you with the wrong strategy, your advertising costs are going up at a rate that's higher than your revenue is going up, which means your profitability is down. Google is leveraging AI more than ever and has made drastic changes to the way in which match types work, which is going to be extremely important for you to understand when it comes to building out a strategy for your search text ads. I'll break down exactly how the different match types have changed on the next slide. Now, it's extremely important that you understand how these match types have changed so that you can leverage them correctly. Because if you're not currently leveraging them correctly, it means you're slowly losing more and more control, which is leading to more and more wasted advertising spend. Now, that combined with rising advertising cost is going to be a big problem for you. These changes inside of Google's advertising platform also mean that the way in which we structure campaigns now is different. If you're using outdated keyword structures, you're going to get left behind. If you're poorly segmenting your keywords, you're going to get left behind. And if you're leveraging the wrong bidding strategies, you're going to get left behind. But the good news is there's a way to fix all of this. In the next few slides, I'm going to show you exactly how you should be structuring your campaigns for success. And I'll even give you live examples from inside my own ad account showing you that these things actually work. But before we get into that, it's important that you understand the theory behind this structure and why it works. And I'm going to break that down for you in the next few slides. So as I mentioned to you previously, keyword match types have changed. And here's how. So it used to be, if you were targeting an exact match keyword, that your ad would only show for that exact term. But now, ads may show on searches that share the same meaning as your keyword. Now, this is extremely different to how they used to operate. So let's run through an example of an exact match keyword. Let's say that you wanted to target the search keyword buy women's running shoes. Okay? It used to be, in the way in which the match type worked, that you could show your ad specifically for that term. But the new way in which exact match keywords work means that your ad would still show for any search terms that include the same meaning as the search keyword that you're targeting, which means your ad would not only trigger for buy women's running shoes, but also things like purchase women's running shoes. Now, with phrase match, it used to be that if you were targeting an exact phrase as a search keyword, then your ads would appear for that exact phrase with words before it or after it. But now, the way that phrase match works means that your ads may be triggered for terms that include the meaning of the phrase. So let's run through an example of phrase match. Let's say that you decided to target women's running shoes as a phrase match. The way that used to work was if anyone added any words before or after that phrase, then your ad would still show. For example, buy women's running shoes or women's running shoes in red. Your ad would still trigger for that. But the way it works now is if someone searches for a search term that includes a phrase that has a similar meaning to the search keyword in which you're targeting, then your ad will still show, which means for your ad to show, the user no longer needs to search for the exact phrase in the order that you've listed it in. Which means if you were targeting women's running shoes as a phrase match, you could show for terms like buy women's running shoes, or you could also show for things like best running shoes for women, or even affordable running shoes for women. They're still very similar to the initial phrase that you were targeting, but the way in which the match type works is slightly different to how it used to be. And lastly, we have broad match, which used to loosely match search terms, but now it leverages AI and may show your ad for searches that it believes to be relevant to the keyword that you're targeting. So let's run with the same example again. Let's say you're targeting women's running shoes as a broad match. Now, the way it used to work was Google would just loosely match search terms relevant to that keyword that you're targeting. But now it leverages AI to find keywords that are relevant to that particular search keyword. So for example, if you were targeting women's running shoes, it would trigger searches that are relevant to that, such as female athletic footwear, sports shoes for women, or best sneakers for jogging. Now, the reason for this change in match types is Google is trying to overcome the fact that 15% of searches on Google's platform every single day are completely new, which means as an advertiser, if you want to keep growing your ads with demand, then you need to tap into these new daily searches. And the best way to do that is by broadening your targeting. This will allow your search keywords to adapt to user behavior and language, evolving as time goes on. And this is exactly where most e-commerce businesses go wrong. They're simply not keeping up with the times. A winning strategy leverages all match types, targeting users at all stages of the funnel. Now, not only is it important what match type you use, but also the keywords in which you're targeting. And the problem is that most brands only target bottom of funnel keywords. And what does that actually mean? Well, a bottom of funnel keyword is someone that already has purchase intent. They're product aware, they're searching Google, and they know exactly what they're looking for. If we're following on using the women's running shoes theme, then an example of a bottom of funnel search would be someone searching for Nike Pegasus running trainers. Okay, they've got the brand, the product name, and the product type. Brand name Nike, product name Pegasus, product type running shoes. It's extremely bottom of funnel, and it has high purchase intent. And this is the place that most e-commerce business owners sit. They want to target that bottom of funnel traffic that has the highest purchase intent. And rightly so. I'm not saying that you shouldn't target this, but the problem is most e-commerce brands only target this. And this is where you're going to be impacted by the rising increase in advertising costs because it's the lowest hanging fruit. Every e-commerce business owner wants to get in front of those people with the high purchase intent. But because everyone is advertising there, it means an inflated cost per click because there is only so much demand. There are only so many people already looking for an exact product, which means there's high competition and limited scalability. And the solution is simple. You simply need to target people at all stages of the funnel, which means not only targeting those that are solution and product aware, but also those that are searching for informational queries and those that are problem aware. So we've already been through an example of someone who is product aware, but what is an informational query? Well, that could be someone searching for best running trainers for women with flat feet. They're aware that they need running trainers and they're aware that they have flat feet, but they want to know what the best running trainers are for their personal situation. And then we have those that are problem aware. So that could be someone that says, my feet hurt when they run. Why is this? Okay, they have a problem and they're aware that it's a problem that they're trying to solve, but they do not yet know what the solution is. I have a separate YouTube video on Google Ads e-com keyword research. So if you want to learn more about understanding different keywords and how to target users at all stages of the funnel, then check out that video. I'll drop a link in the description. Now, after deciding what keywords we want to target, we need to determine where we're going to send that traffic. Okay, are we going to send them straight to the product page? Are we going to consider sending them to a collection page? Or perhaps should we send them to an advertorial or a listicle? The place in which you should send the traffic is going to be completely dependent on where they are in the sales funnel. Now, sending traffic directly to a product page is absolutely fine if the consumer is product aware, like the example I provided a moment ago. Nike Pegasus running trainers, okay? That's someone that knows exactly what product they're looking for. They don't really require any more education at this point. They just need to be sent to a product page to complete the purchase. Now, if someone's searching for something slightly broader, maybe they're looking for the product type or the product category, but they don't yet know exactly what brand or what product they want to purchase. So for example, let's just say they were searching for running trainers. Okay, then you may consider sending them to a collection page. All right, it wouldn't make sense for someone that's searching for running trainers to send them straight to a product page showing them a particular product type. Instead, we should send them to a collection page where they can browse, they can determine which particular model they like, and which one that they want to purchase themselves. Now, the higher we work our way up the funnel, the more we need to educate the user. So let's, for example, say that someone's searching for best running shoes for women. Well, at that point, you may want to consider sending them to something like a listicle, where it's a comparison showing them what the best running trainers are for women. You could do top 5 or top 10, give reasons for and against, and then allow them to click from the listicle through to the landing page, allowing them to further educate and self-qualify themselves by reading the listicle, seeing which trainers they like best, and then clicking through to the product page to complete the purchase. But if someone's searching for "my feet hurt when I run, why is this?" we're not going to send them to a product page, we're not going to send them to a collection page, and we're not going to send them to a product comparison in a listicle. Instead, you need to educate them on why their feet may be hurting when they run. It could be due to the trainers that they're wearing. Maybe they have a flat foot, maybe their foot is arched, and they need the correct running trainers to support their foot type. So we need to further educate this user on what the correct running trainers are for them. And as we educate them, we can then begin to recommend them to product pages that are going to best suit their needs. And that is how you begin to leverage all stages of the sales funnel. I'm going to actually show you some results inside of my own ad account so you can see the difference of pushing traffic directly to a product page versus something like a listicle. So this is actually a fairly new account and we're looking over the last 6 weeks or so. So here we have a Performance Max campaign. You can see average CPC is about $1.70. Campaign has spent about 8K in total. Off of the back of that generated 18K. Conversion rate is 3.08%. And the return on ad spend is 2.3. Now let's compare that to a listicle that I'm also running. Now you can see the CPC is much more expensive, almost 3x what we're paying on Performance Max. But look at the difference in click-through rate. PMax is 0.77%. Click-through rate on the listicle is 9.65%. Now, of course, Performance Max is a combination of a few different networks. It isn't just running on search. It's also running on shopping, video, and display. But the difference in click-through rate there is huge. And if we also look at the conversion rate, you can see the conversion rate of the listicle is 8.16% and the return on advertising spend is 2.36. What's actually crazy is the conversion rate of the listicle is higher than that of the branded search text campaign, which is crazy. Branded search text campaign conversion rate is 6.98. So that's people actually searching for the brand name of this particular e-commerce business, compared to the listicle, which is actually targeting comparison-based search keywords. So the fact that this has a higher conversion rate than the branded search text campaign, hopefully that's telling you something. You know, these things really do work. Now, if we were only targeting Performance Max, we'd be missing out on a huge portion of conversion value, which is attributing greatly to this business's success. As I mentioned at the start of this video, all of the things I'm sharing with you are things that I'm actively doing myself inside of my own e-commerce businesses, or on behalf of my mentorship students or agency clients. And these things really do work. Next up, I'm going to break down how to write ad copy that converts. So let's get into it. Now, as with everything, you're always going to want to leverage your existing search term data as much as possible, okay? Google is fantastic in that it provides you with so many different data points. And one of the most important data points are your search keywords, your search terms, or your search themes, depending on which campaign type you're running. As I mentioned earlier, I have a YouTube video which is Google Ads Ecom Keyword Research. And in that video, I break down how to analyze your existing search term data and then leverage that data inside of your campaigns. So if you want some more help on exactly how to do that, then I would recommend checking out that video and I will drop the link in the video description. Now, it's extremely important that absolutely everything is in alignment. And what I mean by that is those search terms should be triggering ads where the ad copy is extremely relevant to the search term that has just triggered the ad. That's going to ensure that you have a high click-through rate, but it doesn't stop at winning the click. Past the point of winning the click, you need to make sure that that ad then takes the user to a landing page that is relevant to the search term that they were looking for. And that goes back to sending them to a landing page that takes into consideration where they are in the sales funnel. If you send someone to a product page when they're not yet ready to purchase a product, it's going to result in them leaving the page. So not only have you just wasted money on a click that isn't going to convert, but in Google's eyes, you're also providing that user with a poor user experience because they're going to be able to see that that person is landing on the page and in a few seconds immediately leaving, which means Google's then going to rank your ad more poorly, which is going to negatively impact your performance further. So it's extremely important that you have consistency from your search keywords to your ads to your landing pages. And if you have consistency, you can expect a higher conversion rate. Now that you understand the core principles and fundamentals of search text campaigns, we're going to get onto campaign structure. And this is the exact structure that I'm using right now to crush it for my own e-commerce business and also those of my clients and my mentorship students. So let's get into it. As we've discussed earlier in this video, Google has made many changes recently. So it doesn't matter what you've heard up until this point, I can tell you with confidence that this is the campaign structure for e-commerce businesses that is working best right now for me and all of my students and clients. So let me break it down for you. Typically what I recommend is targeting one location per campaign. So that's typically going to be a country. So let's say in this example that you're targeting the US. The reason I recommend targeting just one location per campaign is because each location is going to provide you with completely different results due to many different variables. There's going to be different levels of competition, which means you're going to have different advertising costs. There's going to be different conversion rates. Even the market, even the people in that market that you're targeting may respond differently to the ads. Perhaps they have slightly different pain points based on where they live and the things that they do. So you need to take all of these things into consideration. If you advertise one campaign with multiple different locations, all of these data points are going to be mismatched and it's going to be very difficult to actually optimize. But the beauty of this is once you've really dialed in with one campaign in one location, there's nothing preventing you from scaling horizontally and simply copying, pasting the campaign and launching in another market, which you can do, by the way. Now, inside of this campaign, you're going to want 3 to 5 ad groups, and each of your ad groups are going to be separated by search themes. And a search theme simply means that the keywords within that ad group are all similar and relevant to one another. Maybe each ad group is testing a slightly different angle or a separate subsection of keywords. Now, to determine which keywords you should best target, I'll say it again, refer back to my video, which is Google Ads Ecom Keyword Research. I'll break down exactly how to do that using Google Keyword Planner. Google Keyword Planner is the place I would recommend starting because it's going to give you tons of keyword ideas if you don't already have existing data. If you have existing data, then by all means, you can leverage that. Now, in each ad group, you're going to want no more than 10 keywords. To be honest, even if you add more than 10 keywords, the majority of them probably won't spend. Typically, what you'll find is the 80-20 rule will apply. Google will push your advertising budget towards the ad groups and the keywords that have the greatest search demand. So adding tons and tons of keywords isn't going to do anything. If anything, all it's going to do is take more spend away from where the demand is. So you're best off just listing 10 keywords per ad group maximum. Now, lastly, and most importantly, do not mix match types. The reason for this is if you have one ad group and you have broad keywords in there, you have phrase match keywords in there, and you have exact match keywords in there. When it comes to trying to optimize these, if you're targeting similar keywords within an ad group, which you absolutely should be, because they should be relevant to that search theme, then it's likely that you're going to get overlap and your broad keywords are going to be competing against your phrase match and your exact match keywords. Not only that, but most of the spend most likely is going to be pushed towards the broad match keyword. As I mentioned a moment ago, Google will always find where the demand is and it will push spend towards that point. So by mixing all of them, you're probably going to negatively impact performance. So inside of your ad groups, it's best to keep to just one keyword match type. And I would even go as far as saying use one match type per campaign. Now, as always, I practice what I preach. Let's take a look inside of my own Google ad account and I'll show you how I'm leveraging this exact structure right now. So this campaign launched about 6 weeks ago. And initially, I created 4 different ad groups, and within each of those ad groups, we had around about 10 keywords. I pulled the keywords using Google Keyword Planner and segmented them into search themes. And then within those ad groups, I'm targeting no more than 10 keywords and just leveraging phrase match. Now, if I click into one of these ad groups, you can see we have up to 10 keywords in this one, all leveraging phrase match, 4 keywords, again, all leveraging phrase match, and so on and so forth. Now, earlier I mentioned the 80-20 rule and said about how Google will push most of your spend towards the search keywords that have the greatest demand. Well, this doesn't only happen at a keyword level, it also happens at an ad group level. You can see here, majority of spend has been pushed towards this one particular ad group, and it's also the one that is best performing. So I actually paused the other ad groups, and I've now just doubled down on this one. Now you can see it wasn't only the one with the greatest demand, but also the greatest return on ad spend as well. And I'm actually going to break down for you how I scaled this campaign by leveraging different bidding strategies in just 6 weeks. But before I do that, I want to explain to you the different types of bidding strategies and how they work. Now, on this section, I'm going to break down the different types of automated bidding strategies. I'm not going to bother explaining manual CPC to you because I don't use it and I personally don't know anyone else in ecom that is still using manual CPC. I always recommend that you use an automated bidding strategy. The bidding strategy that you use is going to be dependent on your unique situation, and I'll run through some different scenarios here for you. So if you're setting up a brand new search campaign and you don't yet have data on the keywords that you're targeting, then you may want to consider using maximize clicks initially before switching over to one of the conversion-based bidding strategies. What are conversion-based bidding strategies? Well, those are maximize conversions and maximize conversion value. So maximize conversions is ideal when wanting to maximize conversions regardless of the conversion value, which means Google is going to maximize conversions regardless of what the conversion value is on the back end. So if you have lots of different products which all vary in price point, you have some low ticket, so some high ticket, Google is going to try and push traffic and generate conversions regardless of the order value. However, if you're trying to maximize your conversion value and you want Google to take into consideration the different price points of your products, then that's where you want to consider using something like maximize conversion value. Maximize conversions can be used if you maybe have a single product store or if your price point simply doesn't change. Now, those are the three different automated bidding strategies explained. Past that point, we have guidelines that you can set for those bidding strategies. So for the maximize conversion bidding strategy, you can set a target cost per acquisition. Target CPA works a bit like a cost cap on Meta. It's your ability to tell Google what you want it to spend per conversion. Now, if you have something like a single product store or you're operating on fixed margins, then maybe you always have a target cost per acquisition in mind, in which case this could be a good bidding strategy for you. However, typically for e-commerce, I always recommend using maximize conversion value and a target return on ad spend bidding strategy, because target ROAS will focus on maintaining a certain return on advertising spend over a target cost per acquisition. If you have varying price points of products and you use a target cost per acquisition based strategy, then your ROAS is going to fluctuate. And usually within e-com, most people like to judge their performance by using their return on advertising spend. Now, this is all great in principle, but what you need to know is how and when to leverage these different automated bidding strategies. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it in my own e-commerce business. So let's take a look. So this is the exact same campaign that I just showed you the structural breakdown on. You can see here we're looking at data over the last 6 weeks because this campaign didn't actually launch until the last week of September. Now, when I first launched this campaign, I actually used a maximize clicks bidding strategy because I didn't have much data on the keywords that I was targeting. You can see here it was spending freely, generated around about 200 clicks. CPC is a little lower at $2.68. And off of the back of that, it generated around about $650 in conversion value, giving me a return on ad spend during the first week of 1.21. Fantastic, for a brand new campaign. Well, I was very, very happy with this to see that I was testing a brand new listicle in a new campaign with new keywords, and we're already generating sales. Past that point, I implemented a maximize conversion bidding strategy. And you can see, again, within a week of implementing that, the return on advertising spend practically doubled. CPC came up, click-through rate came up, clicks stayed about the same, but yet conversion value pretty much tripled. We went from 600 to 1900, and the ROAS went from 1.21 to 2.34. Great. 2 weeks in of a campaign, already profitable, super happy at this point. Now it's all about scaling ad spend. So you can see that's where I really started to ramp up that budget, set a target return on ad spend as a guideline, and scale the campaign. And you can see once again, revenue has pretty much doubled. So at 3 weeks in, we've gone from 600 in revenue to 1900 to now $3,500 in revenue for a brand new campaign, whilst maintaining profitability at 2.4x return on advertising spend. And then from this point onwards, I didn't actually make any more bidding strategy adjustments. I continued using the target return on advertising spend bidding strategy, but just adjusted the daily advertising budget for this specific campaign based on results. Hopefully you can start to see now how when all of these things align and everything comes together, the types of results that you can achieve. Now, obviously I'm not done scaling this campaign yet. It's only about 6 weeks old. I'm going to share with you my plans moving forward, all of the things that I'm going to implement and how I'm going to leverage different bidding strategies and implement new campaigns to keep pushing this campaign further and further. And I'm also going to share with you some of my optimization techniques, which are additional things that you can look out for and more data points that you can leverage. So when I showed you inside of my campaign earlier, I explained to you that I was using just phrase match keywords, no more than 10 keywords per ad group, and the ad groups were segmented into search themes. Now, phrase match is great, but eventually I'm going to hit a cap and I'm going to begin to limit myself with how many people are searching for those particular phrases. Okay, we mentioned earlier that 15% of searches on Google's platform every day are new searches. And if I limit myself to phrase match, I'm always going to hit a cap eventually. It's called your total addressable market. Now, when you hit that cap, it's important to start broadening your searches, and you do that by leveraging broad match. Broad match is going to allow me to then find new terms that are relevant to the keywords that I'm already targeting and allow me to generate more conversions at scale. Obviously, we don't want to be totally dependent on Google though, so it's important that we keep an eye on those search terms, and anything that's underperforming, make sure you exclude it. So now you know my plans moving forward with this particular campaign and how I'm going to scale it. Let me show you what I'm actually doing inside of the campaign to optimize. So when it comes to search ads, optimization mainly consists of reviewing search terms and advanced bid adjustments. So you're going to want to make sure that you're regularly reviewing search terms, and anything that's too broad or non-converting, make sure to add them to negative keyword lists so you're no longer wasting any spend. In addition to that, you're going to want to be making bid adjustments for things like devices, audiences, and locations. Now, all of these things, when implemented correctly, are going to be what makes your campaign an absolute winner. But none of this matters if the foundation is incorrect, if the structure is wrong, if the keyword targeting is wrong. None of this is going to matter. So it's extremely important that you get the fundamentals correct first. And then once you have data and you're beginning to scale, then you can begin to optimize. Because you need data to be able to make these optimizations. To collect the relevant data, you need to make sure your foundation is correct. The fact that Google leverages these data points already means that any bid adjustments that you make will be neglected. Okay, Google won't take them into consideration. The automated bidding strategy will override any bid adjustments that you make. The only thing that you can do is exclude certain devices, locations, and audiences if they're underperforming. So let's say, for example, we were targeting the US and we noticed that the state of Arizona gave us really poor performance, okay? It never achieved good results. It spent a lot of money but wasn't generating conversions. Then that's a location that we'd look to exclude entirely. Only then, when you exclude it, will Google stop pushing your ads to that location. Now, of course, if you're using an automated bidding strategy anyway, Google shouldn't really be pushing traffic towards a location that isn't performing. So it's extremely important that you not only monitor all of these different data points, but that you also understand how to begin excluding things to take your campaigns to the next level. Trust me when I tell you that everything I've broken down in this video works. It's the exact same strategies I'm using right now on my own businesses, on my clients' businesses, and for my mentorship students, and everyone is crushing it. Now, if you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis and shortcut your path to success, then consider applying for my mentorship program. You'll see a link in the video description that you can click to learn more about it. That's all for this video. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. More videos coming soon.